You are Locked On Tigers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And away we go. How about that? Another Tigers victory. They beat the Arizona Diamondbacks to take the first two games of the series. Bats come alive late, 8-3, the final. Welcome into the Locked On Tigers Postcast. I am your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma, or unfollow me for that matter. Formerly with 97.1 The Ticket, now with Locked On Tigers Postcast. And this is fun. This is when we enjoy hopping on a live postcast, talking about this Tigers baseball team. The offense comes alive late once again. And the last two games in the desert have been a joy to watch. We'll talk about that late inning offense, the pitching staff, a very nice outing from Jack Flaherty, who battled and gave his team a chance to win. And of course, we'll wrap it up with our studs and duds from the game. So buckle up, dial it in, and let's get after it. Before we go any further, you know we appreciate you making Locked On Tigers Postcast your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Today's show also made possible by FanDuel. Today's episode, of course, brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's all you got to do is win on a $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. Now, you guys know me. I'm not a huge stat guy. I'm not a big analytics, and here we go. But I wanted to open with a couple of stats after the way the Tigers offense has come alive in the last two games, because they win today 8-3, obviously the 13-0 blowout yesterday. There's a lot to unpack on the offensive side of things, and I think it's only fair that if I complain and yell and scream about how bad the offense is, we got to then, in the same sense, reward and talk about how great this offense has been in the last two games. So this from Tigers PR. The Tigers have scored 8+ runs without hitting a home run in consecutive games for the second time since the start of 1985. They did one other time back in August of 2010. And additionally, per Elias Sports, the Tigers have back-to-back games with a 6+ run inning for the first time since 2016. So they did it twice in 2016, but this team, what that reads to me and what that tells me is no longer, and I said it a little bit yesterday, but no longer is it this offense where you're hoping to scratch out a couple of singles and maybe manufacture a run, but they're actually doing damage with extra base power. You got the doubles, you got the triples. Wenzel Perez, we put him on the thumbnail today because he was excellent. This also from Tigers PR. Wenzel Perez is the first Tiger since 1940 to have 4 or more triples in the first 28 games of his career. And this is what I said yesterday too. This is fun. This is what a competent offense looks like, combined with great pitching. Play good defense and you win some games. It's not complicated and it's fun. It is the type of product this fan base deserves to see on the field and on display, and at a more consistent basis would be ideal, like we've seen in the first two games here in the desert on the road against the Diamondbacks. But we've got a lot of people tuning in, which I appreciate on a Saturday night. Thanks for staying up late with us on our live Locked On Tigers postcast. That's what makes this so fun, is this is your home, your one-stop shop for live reaction and analysis at the conclusion of Tigers games. Make sure you subscribe to the show if you haven't yet, or subscribe to the channel. Locked On Sports Detroit for Locked On Tigers. We'll do Locked On Lions post-game shows and so on and so forth. But I want to check in with everybody tuning in. Born Cool, is this offense getting ... good? I had the same thought, because the first 6 innings were more of what we're used to. But when this Tigers offense came alive with that 6 runs in the top of the 7th, you started to think, well, maybe we've got something here. And again, we'll get into all the different individual performances, but top to bottom, it was once again a Tigers offense that was using the entire field, extra base power, more than just a couple of singles here and there, but putting pressure on the opposition. Kevin 81 81 says Javi Baez, greatest Tiger ever. Yes, say something nice about Javi Baez. Here we go. Javi was excellent. You got to give him a lot of credit. And I bookmarked a tweet about Javi Baez, about how good that he's been. I want to pull that up here in a second because he's been really good at Chase Field in his career. So I'm going to just petition for the Tigers to play more games at Chase Field because he's been that good in his career at Chase Field. 338 batting average, 998 OPS, 5 home runs. But again, it's another huge game for Javi Baez. He had the 5 RBI yesterday. And what did he follow it up with tonight, I should say? He had 2 runs scored on 4 hit games. So in 2 games, 8 hits, really, really impressive stuff there. Another RBI, 6 RBI in the 2 games. He's been really, really good. And again, baseball's a long season. There's a lot of ups and downs, ebbs and flows, this, that, and the other, whatever you want to make of it. But he's been dialed in the last 2 games. And maybe you're like me in the sense where when you see him play this well, you think, go, just do this all the time. Do this on a more consistent level, Javi. And nobody would, I shouldn't say nobody, but people wouldn't hate you and they cheer for you. And we wouldn't have to do this up and down thing. And he checks in, he checks out. But when he is checked in the way he has been the last 2 games, he can be really, really good on both sides of the ball, offensively. And we know what he can do defensively as well. We got Jeff Rieger checking in the comments. How about that, Rieg, staying up late? I'm sure he was dialed into that Edmonton Oilers and Canucks game as well. I don't know who he roots for, though. That guy hates Canadian hockey teams more than me, but appreciate you tuning in, Rieger. Who will the Dallas Stars play? I believe Edmonton put the finishing touches on that game over against the Canucks, and there will be a game 7 there. So we've got a game 7 in the Western Conference semifinals. But back to the action here. We've got Born Cool saying, why is Craig Monroe say Wenzel Perez names like I thought that too. I'm not going to get too distracted with the comments, but yeah, Craig Monroe says Wenzel Perez. I can't even imitate it, but I've had that exact same thought. Carson Parker checking in here, getting very close to the point where we can say Perez isn't a cute story and is just good. Yeah, I completely agree. Perez is making the types of strides as a hitter on where enough of a sample size is out, where the opposition, the book is out on him type of thing. It's not just this new guy that's up with the club. He's been there long enough to where the success that he's having and the sustained level of success that he's having is starting to become more of not the furthest thing from a fluke. It's consistent, and you could make the case that this is an everyday player for what he's been able to do. They're interviewing. I got a new system set up now, so bear with me. Got another monitor in the studio here. They're interviewing Javi Baez. Obviously, I don't have the audio on, but 2 singles tonight, 2 doubles, an RBI, and 2 runs in the 4 for 5. So maybe I saw somebody else say it on Twitter, on X, however you want to put it. Maybe this is the series that catapults this Tigers offense, because what do we say day in and day out, every show that we have? There's never been a question about the pitching staff, top to bottom, including the bullpen. It's been really, really good. At times, the defense has been difficult to watch, but they've done enough to where defensively and with the pitching staff, there's no question about it, this team can be special. It's just a matter of what can this offense do. And obviously the last 2 games are proof that if there's some semblance of a threatening offense that can do some damage, this team could be really, really fun and maybe, who knows, make some noise. I mean, I know Cleveland just keeps winning because for whatever reason, the Guardians are unbeatable, but it is what it is. So thanks for tuning in to Locked On Tigers Postcast. A lot to get into. Again, the bats come alive late. We got a lot of people checking in, which we love to see. Kevin81 says, what is Javi's OPS since those 2 games? I don't have that on me, but I do know that the success in the last 2 games for Javi has bumped his batting average over 200 for the first time in 45 games. So that's a win. Let's say something nice about Javi. We'll get it out of the way. He was, again, really, really good. But real quick, let's take you through some of the notes I made during that game and the game recap portion of the program. And we'll talk about the Jack Flaherty outing. I thought he did some really, really nice things. But before we get into that, the top of the 7th with that leadoff double from Gio Urshela. And there was a time in that inning where there was 2 outs. You thought, okay, they've done some damage, but some clutch hitting started to come about. And the clutch hitting is what this team has lacked, among a lot of things offensively, but getting that big hit. And finally in that seventh inning, when they had the 6 runs, they were able to get those clutch hits, which again, it was a welcome sight because we just haven't seen that so far for this organization. So Urshela doubled, then you had Colt Keith strike out swinging, Torque struck out. So the top of the 7th could have just been a leadoff double, and then you strand it with back-to-back strikeouts. But after that, Javi Baez doubles to left, scoring Gio Urshela. That makes it a 2-1 game. And he just missed the home run, by the way, on that. I thought it was out off the bat, just like Benetti does. But Benetti also thinks fly ball that doesn't even get to the warning track is out. I love Jason Benetti, but sometimes he's like, there's a fly ball, and it's an out. Then Kelly singled to right, scoring Javi Baez. That tied the game up at 2. And I'm watching it on my couch, then thinking, okay, there we go. This offense, how about it? They're doing it without the long ball. Again, this is back-to-back games where 13 runs in the first game, 8 runs in this game without a home run. Very, very impressive stuff there. And then you had Riley Green with the double. I wanted Kelly to try to score from first there. Obviously, it worked out that they didn't. Mark Canha gets intentionally walked. And Wenzel Perez, the triple to left, scoring 3 runs to make it 5-2. That fired me up for obvious reasons, but great stuff from Wenzel Perez. And let me make sure I read that from Tigers PR correctly one more time. Wenzel Perez, first Tiger since 1940 to have 4 or more triples in his first 28 games of his career. Awesome, awesome stuff from there. Then Matt Vierling in a pinch hitting situation draws a walk. Gio Urshela, second time up in the inning, reaches on an infield single. Perez scores to make it 6-2. And then the Tigers that concluded the scoring in the 6-run 7th, 2 more in the 8th, and bada bing, bada boom, it's an 8-3 final. So you love to see it. Tigers have taken the first 2 games of this series, which is awesome to see. They can go for the sweep tomorrow, which is exactly what we need. More people checking in on the YouTube. Appreciate that. As always, subscribe to the Locked On Detroit page, Locked On Sports Detroit. This is where we will have your live post-game reaction each and every Tigers game. Mary Jo Isaacson, yeah, for our Tigers, we need to continue to keep hitting like Perez and Baez. Yes, very, very good point that this offense has kind of followed the lead of Wenzel Perez and Javi Baez, at least in these 2 games. Matt Wood saying the rubber must have not quite been right for Gallen in the 7th. Yeah, that was kind of odd how they were continuing to repair the landing spot of the mound throughout this one. I kind of, to be honest, tuned that portion of the broadcast out. I was like, just figure it out. I'm not a grounds crew expert or anything of that nature. M. Klotz saying Javi's OPS jumped around 100 points. Scott Bentley saying he was the worst in the league, around 420. He's now at 5. That is correct. Yes. Before entering this series, again, I bookmarked it, but worst OPS in MLB since 2022 was Javi Baez at 611. That was entering this series. So obviously, and that was over the course of, again, multiple year sample size there, but just to show how bad it's really, really been. Born Cool, worried about Lang. I can't throw a strike to save his life. Yeah, if we're nitpicking and finding areas of a negative takeaway, I didn't love what I saw from Lang. Did end up getting the ground ball in a big spot there to get the double play. So I'm not going to harp too much on him, but I do think it's one of those things you pencil in as, hey, maybe this is an area of concern. But we're going to break down the pitching staff and the performance from Jack Flaherty coming up next. Don't go anywhere. We are just getting started on this edition of the Locked On Tigers postcast. Hey, fired up to tell you about a new sponsor making today's show possible. That's right. Give it up for my friends at Supply House, supplyhouse.com, where you can get supplies from the sites that's made for the skilled trades. Supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy to use website packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Let me say that again, job done right, like the Tigers offense did tonight. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. That's also super nice. If you need help with an order, you can get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. So none of the recording garbage, you're talking to a real person. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trademaster program. Every Trademaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. All right, we got a lot of people tuning in, which I appreciate because this is your home for instant live reaction at the conclusion of Tigers games, because that's what makes this fun. We're talking about it live now, right now. And then if you missed the live version, you can catch it on the YouTube channel or, of course, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your audio. Okay, let's talk about that pitching performance tonight from Jack Flaherty. I always break it down with the line. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned, 9 strikeouts. Really impressive stuff there. He's always been able to get those strikeouts and just the 2 walks. And battled. I think Gibby and Benetti, I don't know who said it which way, but both of them were talking about how he battled. Really impressive stuff there, the way he battled and just continued to give his team a chance to win. And if I'm a pitcher, I'm thinking, all right, here I go, quality outing. All I did was give up 2 runs in the 6th, and now my offense can't figure it out. But fortunately for the Tigers, they get that 6th spot in the 7th. But I thought Flaherty did a great job of mixing it up, had the command, had the control. And this Diamondbacks team, albeit they are the defending National League champions, people forget they did go to the World Series. It's not an offense that's going to strike fear top to bottom, but there's some really, really good hitters and some guys that can do some damage. And I thought pitching around that leadoff triple, I got to double check my notes of where he was able, I believe it was in the 4th. Yes. Yeah. Carroll tripled to lead off the 4th. And then he was able to get Marte striking out along with a ground out and then 1 more strikeout. So to be able to pitch around a leadoff triple there in the bottom of the 4th was huge. And then even in the 5th where they get the, in the bottom of the 6th where they get the 2 runs, I thought that triple to left Carroll's a guy that is so fast around the bases. So you give up the triple there, and it was so close. I'm sorry, that was Marte that tripled, but Riley Green was so close to tracking that down in deep left center. It's an outfield that has a ton of space, and I think like Comerica Park, there's a lot of opportunities for doubles and triples. And for Flaherty to be able to just limit the damage to just the 2 runs speaks to the type of outing that he had. I was all set to compliment the bullpen of how good they were. I know they the Diamondbacks sneaked out a run there late in the game off of Chafin there in the bottom of the 8th inning, just the 1 run. So not going to sound the alarm, but I don't think obviously Chafin had his best stuff. But there was one comment about Alex Lang maybe not having his best stuff. So the bullpen, and maybe I'm just conditioned to always think that the Tigers bullpen is terrible based on the years and years and years of following and loving this organization, that because the bullpen's been so good this year, I feel like, okay, this is not an area that I want to complain even and make a big point of, hey, we need a better bullpen, because they've been really, really good. And obviously they haven't been perfect, but tonight was a night where the offense went out, did their job. Flaherty battled, and the Tigers were in a position to win this game, and the bullpen just cruised along to be able to earn that win. So another win for the Tigers, 8-3. They get back above 500, now 23-22 on the season, 13-9 away from home, and a chance to go for a sweep. And this, I said a little bit yesterday, but this team is like, it's like that crazy, and maybe it's a crazy ex-girlfriend, maybe it's your current partner, but it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster of a relationship. Just when you're so out on this girl, she shows up and it wows you with what she's wearing, and she's not dramatic, and she's cool, and she's fun. You have a great night, and then the way it works, the next time it's a whole big scene and you're out on them. That's how I feel about this Tigers team. I didn't articulate that very well, but you get the idea. The Tigers lately have been like a crazy ex-girlfriend. When you're out, I'm done with it. Then they reel you back in with two really, really good games, which is exactly what we've seen in the desert so far. Simeon Roberts chiming in. Bo Brisky, while only having 2 starts so far, has really been a pleasant surprise. Yeah, and he's pitched in not really high leverage situations. So I'm not going to have a parade for how good he's been, but you do like to see it, especially the local kid there with the ties. But an inning and a third tonight where he looked really good. No hits, no runs, did strike out 1, did not walk a batter, and threw 17 pitches, 10 of them for strikes. So again, it's you like what you see from Bo Brisky. If that's a guy that can be a piece in the bullpen, sure, there's nothing wrong with that. And I like that takeaway. Very, very good point there from Simeon Roberts. But we're going to wrap this one up with our studs and duds portion of the program, and then look ahead to tomorrow with Matt Manning on the mound, hopefully going for a sweep. What a weekend this could be with the Tigers going for a sweep tomorrow afternoon. Later game, obviously, being on the West Coast. But we will get ready for that game as well as wrap it up with our studs and duds. So don't go anywhere. Locked On Postcast, Locked On Tigers Postcast continues in a moment. All right, today's show brought to you by FanDuel. That's right. We know about FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets. You can bet it all on the over of Javi Baez because that's how good he's been lately. And with any winning $5 bet, that's right, $150 in bonus bets. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Again, go with the Javi Baez more over on however many hits he's going to get. It's an easy bet. The guy's been unbelievable. You guys know I love Javi Baez. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. That's right. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Download the app. Super easy to use. I love using the app as well. And always bet responsibly. But visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. All right, we wrap it up with studs and duds as we look ahead to the weekend here and the Sunday game, I should say, going for that sweep after the Tigers take the first 2 games. If you're just joining us on the YouTube stream, Tigers win this one 8-3 with a 6-run 7th. That's now 2 games in a row in which they've had a 6-run frame. This offense is unstoppable. I've been saying it all year, right? I've just been nothing but praise for this offense. They've been so good. But I'm going to start the night with our first stud being Wenzel Perez, the 3-run triple. That was the biggest hit of the game, breaking a 2-2 tie. Now, it was one of 2 hits for Perez, but 4 RBIs again tonight for Wenzel Perez. And I don't know who said it in the comments. I want to make sure I give them credit. Let me pull up the comments here in a second, that he's no longer just a cute story and a guy that's provided a spark for this Tigers team. He is making a case to be one of the more valuable everyday starters. It was Carson Parker that said it in the comments. So shout out to Carson Parker. I completely agree that Perez is now a guy that is starting to form into a building block. And I'm not going to I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. I'm going to go on the data we have available on the sample size of how long he's been with this Tigers organization, up with the bigs, and all that he has done. I mentioned the 4 triples, but he really has been a spark plug for this Tigers organization. So he's my first stud of the night. And I want to make this interactive as always. So let me know who your studs and duds are in the comments. I will say the one duds I'm going to give the maintenance crew or the field maintenance crew, the grounds crew at Chase Field, because again, there was all the delays with the mound. And that was admittedly, again, hand up. I kind of tuned out at that portion of the program of the game tonight. And you got the Mavs and Thunder going on in Game 6. I'm very good at multitasking, don't worry. But when they're working on the mound, I wasn't really watching. But duds for the grounds crew at Chase Field, which is kind of funny because remember Chase Field had that the episode with the bees not too long ago, where they had the beekeeper having to come in to save the backstop had all the bees all over it. That was I want to say hilarious, but it was a funny way it all worked out. But Tigers win this one 8-3. Another stud. We got to say it. Here I go saying something nice about Javi Baez. 4 more hits today for the Tigers shortstop. And what a day. What a 2-game stretch for Javi Baez. 5 RBI yesterday, 4 more hits today, 2 runs scored. He is seeing the baseball great, and it's been really, really fun to watch. Batting average up over 207. How about that? And maybe that OPS will continue to climb. But really nice work. I also think Gio Urshela deserves a shout out for his 3-hit night where he had 2 of them in 1 inning. He got the 6-run 7th inning started with that leadoff double. And he is although, obviously he had the hamstring injury, now that he's back in the lineup, that's kind of a welcome sight for the Tigers because I think he's a piece that can really, really help. 2 more hits for the Tigers catcher tonight, Carson Kelly, and one of them, that very, very clutch RBI single that, again, remember that 6th inning 7th, the Tigers did all the damage with 2 outs. So great stuff there. And Carson Kelly was a big part of that as well. So those are my studs, and we'll throw Jack Flaherty in there as well. Not the type of outing where you put this on a poster and say it's the greatest pitcher ever, but a quality start nonetheless. We're never going to complain about 6 innings, allowing just 2 earned runs, scattering 5 hits with 9 strikeouts. So a stud for Jack Flaherty as well. And overall, this Tigers team, take what you are doing, bottle it up, and let's maintain this level of consistency and be a baseball team that's less and less like that crazy ex-girlfriend and more consistent. That would be a lot of fun. Born Cool has Carson Kelly as his stud, getting his ring tonight, then having a revenge game. Yeah, that's right. It's a good point. I forgot that. That's why you guys are there, helping me out. Much appreciated. Carson Kelly with the Diamondbacks last year, a little revenge action as well. Really good stuff there. Really good stuff all night long from the Detroit Tigers. They go for the sweep tomorrow. Let's look ahead real quick. We know we've got Matt Manning on the bump for the Tigers, 0-1 on the season, 4.37 ERA, 22 strikeouts. But as I've said time and time again, give me Matt Manning over Kenta Maeda any day of the week. Diamondbacks will counter with Jordan Montgomery, who's 2-2 on the season with a 4.76 ERA and 17 strikeouts. So here we go. Let's set our alarms tomorrow. Later game, 3:00 Central Time. So that'd be 4:00 Eastern Time. Obviously, we'll be on immediately following the conclusion of the game, like we were tonight. If you missed today's episode, check it out on Locked On Sports Detroit on the YouTube if you want the visual side. Even though I got a face for radio. Obviously, that's why I was on the radio. I got a face for radio. If you want the audio only version, that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. One more shout out. Mary Jo Isaacson saying, Jake, you have always wanted Baez to do better, and he is doing it. He is. Javi is playing really, really well, and I've been tough on Javi. I booed him so loud at the home opener against the A's, and people around me like, why are you booing him? Why am I booing him? He's been one of the worst players in all of Major League Baseball. But yes, these last 2 games have been really, really nice to see. So Mary Jo, yes, I appreciate you keeping me honest, keeping me accountable, and when Javi plays well, I will, as I always say, definitely say something nice about Javi Baez. So Matt Manning tomorrow for the Tigers as they go for the series sweep over the Diamondbacks. That sounds really, really good to say. So join us tomorrow following the conclusion of the series finale. We will wrap it up then. And as always, thanks so much for tuning in to Locked On Tigers Postcast. Always a pleasure to be on the air with you. And we'll see you next time on Locked On Tigers Postcast.